Has your boss ever shown up at your front door? 1. Yup, she did. 2 weeks prior I delivered my forever sleeping little boy at full term. I was heartbroken and the world had stopped turning. All my footsteps felt heavier and everything I did was the most effort. She showed up one Tuesday just after 10 a.m. She had 2 cups of coffee and 2 donuts. I let her in and we sat in the living room with my dog and barely spoke. After half hour, she headed back to the office after leaving me with some leaflets about occupational health and my rights to time off work following the stillbirth. Nothing happened really. Next Tuesday, she's at my door again. 2 coffees, 2 donuts. She suggests we take the dog for a walk. We do. We chat about nothing in particular and the silences are plenty, but they don't feel awkward. Her visit lasted about an hour. When she left I noticed she had left me some lunch in my fridge with a note telling me to eat it. It was appreciated. This Tuesday thing went on for 6 months. She missed maybe 2 or 3, but she turned up every week with a coffee in hand and no expectations of me. The silences got less, were filled with conversation. Sometimes we would talk about the birth and I'd cry. Getting emotional in front of her became less shameful. Sometimes we would just talk about nothing much. She made the transition back to work significantly easier. She became a friend and not just my manager. I will always be grateful for the time and effort she put into me when I was at my lowest. 2. Yes, my father was dying with a brain tumor and on his last days. My boss knew this. I was in panic mode and breaking down. I didn't call out of work. I just shut down. My father needed to go to the hospital for post-surgery work. I heard the doorbell ring. It was my boss. He came to take my dad to the hospital. He instructed me to stay home and gather myself. He stayed with my dad in the hospital for over 24 hours till I could come. Best boss ever. 3. Yes, he has. It was the day after I was released from the hospital where I had been getting rehab for my recently operated on broken leg, tib and fib. I broke my leg on a Monday, was operated on Tuesday, moved to rehab hospital on Saturday and came home the next Thursday. A whirlwind. On the way to the hospital while the ambos, that's Australian for ambulance men, tried to find a vein to give me painkillers, I texted my boss, on my way to hospital. Broke my leg. Sorry. This would have flummoxed a lot of people but not my boss. We texted that evening and he came to see me the next day and dropped off chocolate and a phone charger. Savior. The first day I got home I tried to organize my life to cope with being one-legged for the next 6 weeks. Difficult as my only housemates were 2 demanding cats. They refused to help. Typical. The next day my boss arrived at my front door. He moved furniture to make it easier for me to get around. He swept the floors and washed dishes. He made sure I had food. He made sure I had what I needed close to hand. He gave me decorating advice. Best boss in the world. 4. Yes, I was home sick in bed with a migraine one Friday, about 15 years ago. I hear banging on the door. I stagger out of bed to the door and find the chief executive officer there. She asked if she could come in so we could talk. I was in a very senior management position at the time. Anyway, she was very apologetic as she explained that the board of directors had decided that my services were no longer required, with immediate effect. Yes, I was being fired. I had argued against undertaking a project that I strongly believed was not in the public's interest, and apparently this was a very career-limiting move. I had also said that I could not maintain the same level of hours that I had been putting in for the last 4 years, and so intended to only work till 6 p.m. each day unless there was some critical reason I needed to be there later. So, a 10-hour day rather than 12-hour days. Bear in mind I was paid a salary based on 8-hour working days. The board therefore thought they were no longer getting their money's worth from me, so they decided to let me go. The boss asked me to hand over my office keys, mobile phone and work car. She said I should come into the office on Monday to pick up my personal effects. She had been instructed to accompany me to my office while I gathered my belongings. That was laughable. Did they think I was going to trash the place? Steal things? She disobeyed that instruction and let me spend a couple of hours writing up notes about some of the projects I was working on. Anyway, the long and the short of it was that I left that job in that town with a month's pay in my hand in lieu of notice. The boss was so disgusted by the way that I was treated that she also resigned, and left a few weeks after me. So they lost 2 senior people in the same month. 5. After a severe injury at work, I had to have 6 weeks off. My husband was running about like a headless chicken trying to get kids to school, etc. And I was busy laughing in frustration at the fact I couldn't do my bloody bra up. ! There was a knock at the street door and when I answered it there was my boss. She grinned at my polka-dotted PJs and said, "Okay woman, upstairs." March. That kind, sweet woman washed my hair for me, helped me to wash and helped me dress, before making us and my exhausted hubby a cuppa and sat keeping me company for 2 hours. I can't thank her enough for her kindness that day. She's amazing. 6. My wife and I work for the same company. At the time my wife had been there over 9 years and I was just over 5 months. We both got COVID and were going to be quarantined for a week. In the middle of the week the owner of the company showed up at our house. I did not know what to expect when I opened the door. When I did, she was standing back down the walkway and said that she thought we might need this. I looked down and there was a very large box of high-end food, pasta, soups, salads, breads, etc. There was more food than we could eat in a week. She gave us well wishes and left. The best boss I have ever seen in 35 years of work.